This is Driving Solutions, exclusively on CBTNews.com.
Hi, everyone. Today we are joined by Mark Vickery, who's Associate Vice President of Performance Management at Cox Automotive. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us today.
Hey, it's always good to be here, Jim. Nice to see you again.
Sure, you as well. So you're here to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart and every dealer's heart, and that's the sales process, specifically getting on top of your sales workflow. Before we get into the details, tell us why is workflow so important right now?
Well, I think despite how much our industry has changed and evolved, we still have a long ways to go. Yeah. And that is with the goal to satisfy the customer's expectations is important to maximize the lifetime value of each and every customer. Mm-hmm. I'm not just talking about hitting KPIs or hitting volume numbers, and those are important things, right? But mastering the sales workflow is about winning that customer for the lifetime of their car buying experience. Mm-hmm. And that's the long-term goal for us to maximize growth and profits.
Yeah, for sure. I came across some interesting stats from your research crew at Cox Automotive, Mark. Only 8% of car buyers intend to make their next vehicle purchase entirely in person. Only 8%, according to the Cox Automotive Car Buyer Journey study. And a third of dealers are frustrated with at least one part of the sales process, according to a recent study on workflows by Cox Automotive. And yet, we're not seeing many dealers jumping to make improvements. Why is that?
I really think it's a combination of a lot of factors. First, things are kind of okay the way they are. Right. They're selling cars.
Right. Why change, right?
Right. Why change? Inventory's gotten better. The economy's not as bad as we thought it was going to be, maybe. Yeah. And, demand is still high. So why do I don't really need to change, right? And then there's the age-old, let's face it, in the car business, we don't tend to be very exuberant about making changes, right? So the daunting aspect of changing is something that keeps dealers, I think, from doing what they know they need to do. And just putting a widget on the website to enable digital retailing and checking a box in that area is just not going to be good enough for much longer. Right. And I would add a little bit that it's if we can compare today's era with maybe the late 90s. If you think back to 1997 when the internet first started to become a thing, we didn't rush into embracing that either.
No, we didn't. In fact, there were many dealers, and I remember them, that said, that thing's a bunch of garbage. We're not going to sell cars using the internet.
People buy cars from people, man. So it's we got the auto buy tell leads on the fax machine and gave them out to Five Card Fred, and he sold them and they didn't buy, and which proved that the internet was a fad.
That's right.
So I don't know that this is much different. And we learned. It took a few years, but we learned how to manage those leads, and CRMs became a thing. Because of that. And so. And it wasn't deep into that where dealers realized, okay, I'm going to have to get a website. I'm going to have to manage these leads somehow, and because dealers are such great entrepreneurs, they figured it out. Well, I think that's the case here. We're going to change the way we sell cars because our customers are changing the way they want to buy cars. So that means we have to change.
That is so true. No truer words have been spoken. It's really the consumer is driving this without a doubt. And I agree with you that the dealers out there are asking themselves, well, why do we need to change? However, that being said, a lot of dealers I'm talking to around the country are open to change right now because they're seeing gross profits come back down. They're seeing their lots fill back up, and they're saying to themselves, all right, we got to tighten this process up for sure. And to your point, give the consumer what they want, when they want it, and in the way that they want it. So can you tell me more of some of the changes that you've seen recently with regard to the sales process?
Yeah, I think you have to think about think about it in terms of the lifetime value of each customer, whether that be service or the next car that they buy, and when I talk to dealers, I want to talk about how are you, should say dealer and Mr. Dealer, how are you adding convenience and flexibility to your process? I think that's the biggest thing is I've got to be flexible in what I deliver to the customer, because every customer might be just a little bit different. Whereas, 25 years ago, we treated everybody exactly the same.
Right.
How do you use data and automation as a part of that process? Where can it be? Where are there opportunities? For to make that easier and to get more into like a longer term value and relationship bringing to mind. And so to me, I've got to attack that maybe from multiple ways, right? If I need more training on the processes or more strategy behind what my processes are, lean on your vendor. Around here we call that performance management. And if you need more focus on the process, can you enable processes and technology that force it into an automated sort of process? Around here we call that retail 360 deal. And then I think it's fair to say better collaboration and communication between staff is really important. Having real-time data and the connection between your data and the customer is really important. Gone are the days when I can send out a blast email that I'm dealing from the ceiling this weekend. I need to communicate with specific messages to specific people about their specific needs.
That's right. And be accurate with it. There's nothing worse than
right on.
When you send something to somebody and they call you and they say, I traded that vehicle in on that offer that you sent me to get my vehicle fixed. I traded it in with you 10 months ago, and here you are sending me. And it's just like, first of all, we spent time and money on it. And second of all, we told the customer, we don't know what's going on in the showroom or the service center. Big faux pas, right?
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, there's no question about it. We got to get it right in this industry.
Everybody has the tools. No dealer doesn't have a CRM, for example.
Right.
But not all dealers do a great job of collecting data, of updating data, and the technology itself it's not the Ron Popeil CRM. It's not a set it and forget it. You got to put in work.
That's right. That's right. And for you younger listeners, we'll tell you later who Ron Popeil is. So that's but I totally agree with you. These things have got to change. And as I said earlier, dealers are certainly paying attention. Hopefully dealers, you're watching this, pay attention to what we're talking about here, because as you know, the OEMs are demanding this of their franchise dealers. The consumers are demanding this from the dealerships that they're working with. And, it's really time that we sit up. And granted, I know I'm painting with a broad brush, and there's a lot of dealers out there that do an excellent job. Not talking to you. I'm talking to the other 16,000 dealers. No, I'm kidding. I'm talking to the other, dealers out there that are still challenged in this area. But the good news is that there's solutions out there. And you can start right here at Cox Automotive. This is what these guys specialize in. Helping dealers around the country every day sell and deliver more cars the way that consumers want to be sold and delivered vehicles. That's the key to get that customer coming back. So any closing advice, Mark, on that you'd like to give sales managers or GMs who have been thinking about making changes like the ones that you've talked about today?
Yeah, I would just say first and foremost, don't allow yourself to be daunted by the process of getting there. It's achievable, and you're going to get there anyway. You're going to have to. So and taking advantage now of maximizing the value you can deliver to every customer is not something you're just going to do overnight. You need to partner with vendors. Make sure that you're collecting the right data, and then you have the ability to manage that data and streamline your processes, right? And consider changing the way you process a customer when they arrive at your dealership or they land on your website.
That's right.
Performance managers like we have at Cox do that every day. Help dealers, change their behavior and drive towards a different tomorrow. And I think that as long as we're not daunted I mean, hey, if we didn't change in 1997, we wouldn't be handling internet leads. How would that didn't even make sense, right? So we can do it together.
I miss those fax leads. I mean, that's where it was at. I mean, between the menu from the local sub shop and what have you, I mean, you could get that lead every now and then and just, run with it and call them up and ask them. And usually they'd say, I'm already driving the car. Somebody else got to that fax quicker.
Yeah, the office supply sale that was going on down the street too.
That's exactly right. So these are the kind of solutions we want to be bringing you. And I think what's really cool about Cox Automotive, and you all know this already, is that you can give these guys a call and they can come out and work with you and do an audit to say, hey, let's benchmark a little bit. Here's what our current processes look like. How can you enhance them? How can you make it better for us as well as the consumer? Probably more importantly for the consumer, because we know that that's going to drive more profits to your bottom line. And you all work very well with dealers. They might walk in and say, hey, you know what? You're running at 98%. We can help you with just a little bit. But the other side is that they can help you in a big way if you're only hitting 50% of the mark. So speaking of marks, Mark Vickery, Associate Vice President, Performance Management at Cox Automotive. Always a great pleasure and very informative to have you on the show. So thanks so much. I know that our dealer viewers will get a lot out of your talk. So thank you.
Hey, Jim, it's awesome to see you again. Thank you much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Driving Solutions, exclusively on CPTnews.com.